This is why we must protest. In 2020, they stripped a bleeding black schoolgirl in a school without her parents, without any appropriate adult. They told her, stripped or be arrested. They watched her undress. She was made to spread her bottom cheeks and expose her genitalia, even though she was menstruating. This is not misconduct. This is abuse. This is state-enabled child abuse. Now we're facing a quiet misconduct hearing.
It's the end of the second day of the Child Q gross misconduct hearing of the 3 officers involved. The first thing that strikes me about it was when we were leaving after, at the end, I noticed that the blonde female officer who had actually done the strip search and the male police officer who was the superior officer were giggling, they were smiling, they were laughing. These people have pleaded not guilty. There is no remorse and no accountability. They do not think they've done anything wrong. To repeat, they do not believe that strip searching a 15-year-old child, exposing her private parts, was wrong. And at the end of the second day of the hearing, they were laughing with each other.
Child Q is not an isolated case.
When his daughter was just 14, Marlon found himself fighting to protect what was left of her innocence. She was being groomed and sexually exploited, and he repeatedly asked the police for help. But on one occasion, they added to her trauma.
There was no appropriate adult. They'd already strip searched her when I'd got to the police station. I was the appropriate adult. She was stripped with female officers, but behind a glass door, and there was male officers looking in. They said she had an e-cig. They stripped her down. She was absolutely devastated.
And reports suggest that these cases are not isolated.
5 children are stripped every day by the Met Police alone. Never mind the other police forces up and down the country.
There's nothing you can do. Like, they're the police. Do you know what I mean? Who do you go to when the police are doing that to you? Like, they know full well that they're in charge. And when the way I see it, once you go through them custody doors, do you know, as soon as the van pulls in and both shutters go down on both sides, the tension, like, you can just feel it. Do you know what I mean? It changes completely.
Scarlett, now 18, says she was strip searched in police custody aged 14.
And what do you think? I mean, what do you think the reason was they did it? Because it doesn't sound...
Probably to humiliate me, to be honest with you. Like, when I think of it now, I was young, like, I didn't want anyone to see my body, do you know, at that age, especially, like, strangers. Safety around.
Did you have, I mean, you were 14, you must have had an appropriate adult with you when you were strip searched.
No.
Really?
My appropriate adult hadn't been called. I've just got to they were checking me in.
Right.
At that point, no one's ever there. Your solicitors, they've not even called the solicitor. They've not called appropriate adult. Like, I was literally just being checked in.
So you're a child and they didn't call an appropriate adult to strip search you?
No, they didn't ask me if I wanted one or nothing.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't really think of that, because at that time, I didn't know if they were saying, like, take my clothes off, I'd just do it because they're the police.
Strip searching is not after arrest. This is children just taken off the street, you know, and strip searched under suspicion.
The Children's Commissioner found that a child was strip searched every 14 hours on average between January 2018 and 2023. But only a quarter of these cases resulted in arrests. And in around 45% of searches, police failed to record whether an appropriate adult was present.
It's so humiliating. And when you don't have those reasonable grounds, and if you go into an intimate search when they're stripped naked, then, and they're searching their orifices, then that is a violation. Child Q that happened in 2020 is still waiting to see if those officers are going to face justice.
And if you're feeling safe in the knowledge that it's mainly just those black children, Think again. It could happen to anybody, literally anybody, even a doctor.
I was arrested for offering a Know Your Rights legal advice card to a 15-year-old who was being stopped and searched. The officers who were there reacted immediately, incredibly aggressively. They accused me of obstruction. It seemed in almost no time at all they'd grabbed me and were arresting me. I went limp as a form of passive resistance. That was how I found myself in Stoke Newington police station.
Bend her arm, mate. Tell them to put the back into it. Oh, so I think tell them to come and do it. Well, no, we need to search her thoroughly, so, you know, that's her decision. She's resisting resistance is futile.
So that's the custody sergeant talking on the intercom to the officers who are strip searching me. He's basically saying, treat her however you like.
No. It's 292. What's that smell? You see that? I said, yeah.
So I was alone on the cell floor at that time. I felt relieved that I'd survived it, because in the time that it was happening, I had no idea where it would end. There were 3 officers they'd got me pinned on the cell floor with my hands cuffed behind my back, and they tied my legs together and cut off my clothes with scissors. The kind of overwhelming memory of that, as well as being really scared, was just the kind of physical pain of it. When they had me naked, they were grabbing at my breasts, and they pulled a piercing out of my ear, and then they were like, oh, let's see if she's got any more, and they stuck their hand between my legs. They had withheld this footage for all the years that they'd apparently been addressing my complaint. The way that they talk about me in a really dehumanizing way, it didn't surprise me at all, really. It was absolutely obvious in the way that they treated me that was the attitudes that they had. Most of the people who are on the receiving end of that never get heard. So even though talking about it is challenging, I feel lucky to be able to do that. They are being challenged on their racism, on their misogyny. So I hope that what I'm describing can be heard as a part of that.
There are strict guidelines for police to warrant strip searches, but oftentimes it's misused. They strip a person in retaliation, to show power, to humiliate, with no justifiable reason for the search. Let's call it what it is. We're getting you naked to show you who's the boss.
Police officers have been abusing their power.
It was all power. It's been a police on a power trip.
It was humiliating, degrading.
It's just something that the police do for their own perverse kicks.
Is what we're seeing here a police force that is above the law? Footage she obtained from the police showed her unconscious, taken into a cell and stripped naked. Danica Stewart believes she was strip searched in custody because she'd made formal complaints against the police.
It's power, because when I left the police station that day, the sergeant on the desk said to me, you need to drop all your complaints against the police. They needed to show me who was boss.
Stripped after he'd complained about his arrest.
How do you put a complaint in? I don't know.
And refused to answer questions. The sergeant said, you're p***ing me off, ordering a strip search.
They take everything out the cell, absolutely everything out the cell, and just leave me there naked for 8 hours.
On a second arrest, Mark was stripped again, and when he refused to wear police clothes, he was marched through cell corridors.
I was humiliated. There was even prisoners sat on the benches while I'm stark, absolutely naked, on the booking-in desk.
Part of the problem in Manchester could be that it bans lawyers from entering the reception desk area in the custody suites.
I told the sergeant I'm not going to be able to get home.
Another shocking example is Maria. Originally, she went to the police station as a domestic violence victim, seeking her partner, who'd been detained for assaulting her. She was later arrested and strip-searched. The strip search was apparently to look for a discarded vape.
They made me take off all my clothes, open my legs wide, and then she wanted me to open my actual private parts completely open. And then she asked me to get up, turn round, bend over so she could see my buttocks area. And then I did, and then she wanted me to bend right over and open my buttocks wide so she could see fully.
It's become so normal and so widespread that it could be you next.
Many of my clients don't want to make a complaint. They are actively scared of the power of the police and confirm that, well, this is my local police officer, he will just come and get me.
The most concerning case remains that of Zaina Iman. She claims that during over 40 hours in custody, much of which she spent naked, she was raped. Sky News examined the cell footage provided to Zaina by the police under a subject access request and found 2 hours of the footage missing.
Who's got something to hide? I'm openly saying that at some point during my detention with Greater Manchester Police, I was drugged and sexually assaulted.
And after exercising her right to see the footage from her time in the cell, found that 2 hours were missing. She says she has flashbacks of being abused.
I believe she was raped. I believe she was raped by an officer, and I believe the organisation is covering up.
I'm openly saying at some point during my detention with Greater Manchester Police, I was drugged and sexually assaulted.
It is our human right to be freed from degrading and inhumane treatment. It's no point pretending that we have human rights if the very people that we're employing to uphold our rights then go and abuse us. For the very least, demand that these 3 individuals, Victoria Ray, Christina Linge, and male officer Rafal Schmedinsky, are sacked. If you've been abused by the police, get in touch, have your say. We want to hear from you. Let's heal together. Come down to the hearing. Let's gather. Let's protest this inhumane treatment before it's too late. The details for when and where are in the description of this video on YouTube. We owe it to ourselves. Share this video. Let them know that the world is watching them and holding them accountable for their actions. Don't let them get away with it this time.